Okay, thank you very much, Steve, the producer and moderator for tonight. Really appreciate you taking the time to step into this role and to pull all those threads together. To everyone else out there who is joining us tonight, or those that are going to be listening to a replay of this upload, Happy New Year to each and every one of you, and welcome to 2025. It promises to be an interesting year so far. In tonight's upload, tonight's Q&A, I'm going to cover a bit of ground. This is our first real State of the Union report back to those members out on social media for 2025, and I want to bring you into my confidence and discuss with you our plans and progress up to date. Okay, so thank you for that. Let's start off with the Freedom Union infrastructure and have a bit of a talk about that. The Freedom Union went live around September of last year, September, October. So we've only been live for only a very few short months. But in that time, our infrastructure has been pieced together and built from the ground up, and now we are quite satisfied that we've made enough progress on that front. Over at www.freedom-union.org, our webpage, you will see once you join the union and get behind the firewall, and you have to do that, you have to pay your $200 to get behind that firewall. But once you get behind the firewall, we've laid it all out. We've laid everything out for you to see. All of the international law, all of those, laws and treaties and, those statutes, etc., that we rely upon under international law to justify our existence and justify our position. The full authority is all listed. Everything is up there. Everything we say, we bring the receipts for. Okay, all posted, all up on the webpage. Okay, so go through, check it out, satisfy yourself. I've already had some very, very diligent union members who are very strong on their stuff, going through legislation and that. They're very good at it, and they've reported back to me that the detail that we have posted is just phenomenal. Okay, so check it out. Webpage, all of the features up there have been going well. So we're very comfortable in the infrastructure and the progress we've made. The union membership cards, okay. In the main, that's going well. In the main, it's going well. We've had quite a lot of people join the union and put the pressure right on us to produce our union cards. They are our new cards, folks. Very, very high quality, great detail, and I can assure you that the cards have gone out. There's still some that for whatever reason we've missed, or they haven't uploaded photographs or whatever. So we're still chasing some, only a few, but the vast majority of them have gone out, and people have now received them. And that is your new membership card for the Freedom Union of Australia. Okay, so good progress on that. Okay. Now, what I want to touch upon, ladies and gentlemen, is the economic war campaign that's currently raging with the Freedom Union, between the Freedom Union and this belligerent occupation. Now, let me go into that, if I may. Ladies and gentlemen, just to recap, go and have a look at the interviews I've done with Jason Strong, one of our in-house advisors on international law, but we've canvassed this and covered this, but I want to go over it a little bit more, if I may. What we have when the Freedom Union was established, I mean, part of my due diligence was to go through and have a look at all of the applicable international law and to ascertain what our rights and our responsibilities were, not just our rights and protections, but our responsibilities as well. And what I discovered, our researching team and myself discovered after we registered or after we established the Freedom Union, was that the belligerent occupation here in Australia back in March of last year, nearly 12 months ago, were notified. An application was made to the International Criminal Court, which in effect turned our belligerent occupation, turned the relationship into them being war criminals. Now, this has a profound effect on our relationship here in Australia with this belligerent occupation. This particular information, as I've just said to you, they're a war criminal. They've been notified. They are fully involved in what is happening over in the Gaza, in the Middle East. They are tied up with Israel. There are arrest warrants out for the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and others inside of Hamas. So there's arrest warrants out there. And the Australian belligerent occupation now are war criminals. They're being prosecuted as war criminals. That is a fact. Well reported all over the world, that is a fact. Now, because of that fact, that changes everything for the population of Australia, because under international law, we bring the receipts, we bring all of the receipts, all posted, all named, all identified, no arguments. Under international law, it is unlawful for the population of Australia to support this belligerent occupation in any way, shape or form. Once they become war criminals, we are prohibited from supporting them in any way, shape or form. And that includes funding their actions, funding them while they commit war crimes. That is all unlawful. And if we do not withdraw that funding, if we do not clearly disassociate ourselves from this belligerent occupation committing these war crimes, then we ourselves become guilty of committing war crimes. I mean, this is a very dangerous game for the Australian population here. We are compelled under international law to do everything in our power to disassociate ourselves from this belligerent occupation and to stop funding them while they are conducting themselves in war crimes. Okay. Now, because of that fact, ladies and gentlemen, it's led the Freedom Union and our research team to come up with a very, very interesting conclusion, and I think one that really puts this belligerent occupation on the back foot, big time, big time. And let me explain why. When they commit war crimes, and we notify these war crimes, i.e. funding, they demand money from us, taxes, fines, rates, imposts, levies, charges, all of it. That is a war crime for them to demand from the population for us to pay this money for them to use either in whole or in part that funds to go on and commit further war crimes. All unlawful. All unlawful. Now, this is the complexity that it throws up, ladies and gentlemen. This is where it becomes interesting, okay? And that is that it is a matter of fact that international law has a higher jurisdiction than the national domestic law here in Australia. International law has a higher jurisdiction than our domestic national laws that are here in Australia. Now all of that started down in Tasmania back in the 1980s. To the best of my knowledge, it started with a big court case that went all the way to the High Court. And that was over the Franklin Dam in Tasmania. The Tasmanian government wanted to exercise its constitutional rights by building a dam on the Franklin River in Tasmania, and it was challenged by conservation groups, and the Hawke government had signed, I think it was the Hawke government, if my memory serves me correct, had signed an international environmental treaty, and they used that treaty, that international treaty, and said you can't dam the river if it breaches that treaty, and that treaty, international treaty, has a higher jurisdiction than the Tasmanian government's constitutional rights to go and build a dam on that river. And it got up, i.e. international law applied. It had a higher jurisdiction. Now, since then, there's been many other examples, but that's where it started. I think back in the early 80s, many years ago, and the constitutional law, it's recognised, is subservient to international law. You need to understand that. So when the union lodges a war crime application against this belligerent occupation or its apparatus for them trying to seek money, payment of rates, taxes, fines, levies, all that, right? What happens is that once we notify that before the International Criminal Court, our application takes precedence, i.e. they cannot enforce, they are unable to enforce through their Freemasonic national court system, domestic court system, fake laws and charges and taxes against us while the same matter has been notified and it's being heard before the International Criminal Court. It's a natural estoppel. It shuts them down. They can't prosecute us. That's the legal conundrum that we are now finding ourselves in. That favours us big time. Now, building off the back of that, ladies and gentlemen, the Freedom Union has done everything in our power. It's our team, our small select team has done everything in our power to pre-position all of our union members and to have them lodge war crime applications against this belligerent occupation and their apparatus, their debt collectors, their tax collectors, their vultures, right? So we are moving very, very quickly, as hard and as fast as we can to get our members to notify war crime applications against these vultures, against this belligerent occupation, and to get it on the record. Why? And that is because the moment they make a secondary approach to demand money, they commit a secondary crime. So they can commit the first crime by demanding rates, payments, fines, taxes, all of these imposts against us. That's one crime. But after we notify and bring this to the attention of the International Criminal Court and they go on to further demand, it's a second crime. It's more crimes. So we want to pre-position, we want to get our members protected as best we can, as quickly as we can. And the best way we can do that is to reset their status. Right? Reset their status, their lawful status under international law by lodging war crimes against this belligerent occupation and or their apparatus. Okay? And that's what we are doing now. So please, to all union members out there, we have written an email to you recently under my signature. We have set up the infrastructure on our website. You need to go and fill out the form. You need to be a member of the union. It's $200. Fill in the form. Give us the authority. Give us the evidence of the demands for money. We lodge on your behalf. We come back to you with the receipts, notifications that it's all been done. And if they do any further threats, then we have a second crime, further crimes being committed and further lodgements to take place. Okay? So please, ladies and gentlemen, move quickly. To all of our members in the union, move quickly. Move quickly. Reset your lawful status under international law as a witness to war crimes. Reset it. Okay? And that gives you the protection that we can then build off the back of and go after them. Okay? This is the beginning of the process. So, ladies and gentlemen, please get on board. I don't need 1 million people to prosecute and be successful with this latest campaign. I don't need them. We can win this with a very modest level of numbers. Okay. Now, to everyone else who's not an Australian out there, please, if you're in Britain, and I've said this in an interview with the Aussie Cossack, a well-known international alt media influencer who has been very unjustly and unfairly prosecuted and is now tolling up under international law in the Russian consulate for his own safety. Okay, but I've said this. Look, folks, we have to cease the payments, and if we don't, we become an accessory to these war crimes. This is not a choice, folks. It's not a choice. I'm saying to you, my advice to you, it's not the union saying you're going to have to do it. It's under international law. It says you've got to do it. And it's my job, my responsibility to bring this to your attention and to fully advise you of the consequences. Reparations and other things are not fun if you get tied into someone else's war crimes. Your grandkids could be paying reparations for war crimes that were done in 2024 in the Gaza for years to come. So, folks, please, let's reset our relationship with this belligerent occupation. Let's go to the economic war campaign section, join the union, of course. Go and listen to all the information there, review it, and please authorise the union, give us the evidence of these demands being made upon you so that we can lodge a war crime on your behalf. Okay, let's, for all those activists, not Australian, Kiwis, Canadians, Americans, Brits, and so on. Look, all of the international law that the Freedom Union of Australia is relying upon is available to all of yous. All of yous. Everything that we use is also available to you guys all over the world, okay? I would urge you is to follow our work. Follow our work. Look at what we are doing and keep an eye on it. I'm not saying we're getting everything perfect all the time. We're not, but we're getting all the big ticket items right, and we are prosecuting this very well. Check out how we are going about it, because it may help you in your country. It may help you in New Zealand fight a belligerent occupation there, and Canada elsewhere. So if we can help you, if you need some advice or assistance, and again, we're not holding ourselves up as being the be-all to end-all. We're not. We're humbly putting to you, all of the activists around the world, that we are your friends and your colleagues, and if any of our work can help you in your struggles, in your defiance of this tyranny, and if we can help you, then we will, and we're sure we can. Okay, because the same laws are available to you all over the world as they are here in Australia. In fact, it is a fact, as to the best of my knowledge, that the Freedom Union in Australia are the first and the only union in the world that is actively lodging war crimes and prosecuting. We're the only ones that we know of, the only union in the world doing so. And we'd be happy to help you guys as well. Okay. So keep your eyes on that, guys. Keep your eyes open for your cards coming in the mail. If you're having any problems with your cards, contact us. The email is contact us, one word, lowercase, at freedom-union.org. Okay? So that is, again, contact us at freedom-union.org. Send us an email. We've got a great team of volunteers that monitor all of the emails coming in. And if you're having trouble with your card or trouble downloading any of our templates, documents, or anything else, please let us know. Let us know, okay? We pay a significant amount of money to set up all this IT. It's not cheap, I can tell you. It runs into tens and tens of thousands of dollars. But we are trying to get it right. There's an interface at the back end of our business where the cards get made, and the back end of the membership base that have to go into that system to print the cards out. And that handover between those two pressure points, takes a bit of getting right. But we are on top of it, okay? And they are very, very high quality membership cards, okay? Couple of things. Look, guys, this, I've used the word belligerent occupation, but I'm going to just give you my commentary, if I can, on some of this stuff. We in the world, all around the world, have been a slave to a regime of central bankers, right, that have set up a central banking system 100 years ago, thereabouts, in America, the Federal Reserve, and then went all around the world setting up central banks and enslaved nations and populations, enslaved us with their central banking slave currency system, okay? And they went on to acquire, using this fraudulent system, a whole bunch of assets that they don't own or shouldn't own. They've gone and picked them up by printing this funny money stuff, and so on. My assessment, folks, is that the central bankers, and we are talking the Khazarians over in Ukraine, and around the world, Khazarian mafia, they're referred to commonly. They are the central bankers, but they have been defeated. President Trump, President Putin, and the BRICS group have destroyed them. They're finished. The central banking system is collapsing, or has collapsed, or is just about ready to be collapsed and replaced. Okay? They are losing or have lost this war, this central banking war. We are going very soon to move into a new currency system. I'm not quite sure what it's going to look like, feel like, taste like, or sound like. Not quite sure. But it's going to be gold-backed or asset-backed, which is going to replace this fiat currency system. And it's going to disempower these central bankers. It's going to break them. So the first time in 100 years or more, these monsters, these monsters who've captivated the world are going to be losing their greatest controlled system, which is the monetary system, the banking system. President Putin and the BRICS group, by the way, Indonesia just joined the BRICS group only a few days ago. They've put a knife through the heart of the central bank fiat reserve system. They've put a knife straight through the heart by having a gold-backed currency or gold-backed currencies, asset-backed currencies, and not a fake 100% fiat junk currency system which we've been living under for 100 years, which has now lost all of its purchasing power. I mean, you can't buy anything with this junk anymore. So my advice is that part of the war's been won. They've lost. The central bankers have lost, and they've lost their bankers. What we are now up against, folks, is not the central bankers. It's the oligarchs. It's the oligarchs. They want to pick over. They want to pick over Australia and the world. They want to rake it over and take whatever's left and keep it for themselves. I mean, if you have a look at when the Soviet Union collapsed, it wasn't the communists, the political operatives that were going around destroying it. It was the oligarchs. It was the oligarchs. Oh, and then they're seizing public assets, the steel, the power, all of the big manufacturing, agricultural assets, and so on. And they basically, were raping the country. East and West Germany, when it collapsed. Whenever there is a transition from an old structure to a new power source, the oligarchs, they're fucking vultures, these people. They're fucking vultures, and we've got them in Australia. We've got them in Australia. We've got the billionaire class here in Australia. They are flying above, looking at what they can rake over and keep for themselves. And they've recruited a whole army of pissants, mate, a whole fucking army of so-called freedom fighting pissants, fakers, to give them street credibilities on the ground. This is the oligarchs, not the central bankers. The central bankers have had a knife put through their heart, and they've had their head of it's Ukraine, and it's been cut off. Vladimir Putin is cutting their head off the snake in Ukraine. And if anyone, I'm going to quote something, Vladimir Putin, and for anyone that doesn't know it, I have the highest respect for Comrade Vladimir Putin and the Russian people. I do. The highest respect for the Russians that I could want for anyone. And for the Americans at the moment, right now, they've got it right as well. But listen to what Vladimir Putin, when he done a recent interview with Rossiya Segognoya from the International Media Group, right? He said the era of Western elites. That's the central bankers. That's not you and me. We ain't elites. But the era of Western elites being able to exploit other nations and other peoples across the world is coming to an end, right? It is. It's finished. They are no longer able to use their central banking criminal network to go and spread their criminality through, their channels to corrupt and disrupt other parts of the world and then rape it. The president further stated that over the last few centuries, this war's been going on, ladies and gentlemen, for the last 200-300 years or more. The so-called golden billion, this group, has grown accustomed to being able to fill their bellies with human flesh and their pockets with money, as they have been parasiting other peoples in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. But listen to what he says at the end. They must understand that the vampire ball is ending. The vampire ball is ending. He didn't make a mistake when he said that, ladies and gentlemen. Very deliberate. Vladimir Putin is everything when he talks, he always underplays, never overplays. He always under-promises and over-delivers. That's Vladimir Putin. This interview, which was repeated on RT, Russian television, all over the world, he's called them for what they are, vampires, eating of human flesh, parasites, parasiting on nations. He's saying they've been defeated, and they have. Big changes are coming, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to find out what these parasites, what these vampires, who they really are and what they really do. It's going to come out. Vladimir Putin and the Russian people are going to bring heaps of evidence from all this biological stuff, labs and weapons and everything they're doing in Ukraine, in underground and so on. And others are going to bring all the evidence out about them, how they traffic in children, deal with children. These people are fucking monsters, and we've been at war with them. They've been at war with us, humanity, for several hundred years, and it's coming to a close. It's coming to an end, and we've won it. Now, cast your mind back to World Economic Forum several years ago. Statements being made there by, the head of the World Economic Forum. He said, it's a winner-take-all war. Klaus Schwab. It's a winner-take-all war. I.e., we're at war with humanity, and if we win, we get everything. We enslave humanity forever, and we take the earth over. But if they win, then we win everything. Humanity wins at all that. Well, I'm telling you now, folks, we've won this war. And that means we've won it all. We've won it all. Okay, everything. And now we have the oligarchs, these parasites here in Australia. We're all eating scraps and doing it tough. They're sitting down eating Wagyu steak by the kilo. I'm telling you now, the oligarchs. So the central bankers have been knocked over. The oligarchs are coming in. The oligarchs have their front people. Here in Australia, I'm sure they've got them over in the States and Europe and so on. People who claim to be freedom fighters, and they're not. They're fake. They're fake. And they'll be running an agenda for the oligarchs, seeking to dig their claws in and to take as much of that they can of our assets, the public's assets, you and I. They are very ugly, very mean people, mate. They are monsters. And Vladimir Putin is right to call them vampires. consumers of human flesh. These people are monsters, and they've got to be wiped off the face of this earth. They do. That's not our job. That's the military's job. And the militaries all around the world are being mobilised. I was advised that there's more assets and more manpower, military manpower, being moved right now, 300 or 400% more than there was at the height, being moved around the world than the height of World War II. Okay, so a lot of military stuff going on around the world, and that's to contain the fallout of this central bankers losing this war. Okay, to keep all of us safe. So everyone out there, I want you to have a lot of confidence in 2025. Lots of confidence. We've won. We are going to have these oligarchs and their flicks, their pissant mates in our pockets trying to milk us. We're going to have to clean that up too. Okay? But the war has been won by us. We've won this war. And therefore, by definition, we're going to clean up. Okay? We are going to clean up. Now, also by definition, folks, is the changes that are going to come. There are profound and massive changes that are going to come. And we need this union in play. Not just to fight and and protect and so on, but also to help us manage these changes. Massive changes are going to come. We are going to see millions of job losses when artificial intelligence and nano technology and robotics and all this new stuff comes into play. You are going to see jobs evaporate, industries evaporate, okay? And huge changes coming in off the back of that. We need this union in play to help us manage that and cope with it, okay? So I'm saying to you that not only do we need this union to defend ourselves at the tail end of this war against those that want to do us harm and want to dig the claws into us, but we need this union in play to help us manage the profound changes that are going to sweep right across this country and right around the world. Change management is going to be a big issue, okay? Big issue. Lots and lots of changes. I mean, can you see the existing health system standing? I can't see it surviving after what they've been involved in. It'll collapse. It'll collapse. It needs to be rebuilt. Can you see the mass media staying the way it is? No, it's not. It will fall. It will be a victim. It'll collapse under the weight of its own lies and its own treachery. It'll collapse. Can you see class actions taking out, a whole lot of other institutions after what's gone on? I can. I can see class actions coming out worth hundreds, if not billions of dollars. Billions of dollars. Big Pharma's going to collapse. Massive changes are coming, folks. Massive changes. To manage and to cope and to, deal with these changes, we need the Freedom Union in play. We need the Freedom Union in play. And we need the Freedom Union to be out there doing its level best to help ordinary folks who are ordinary members, work their way through this stuff. But a lot of changes, a lot of adjustments, a lot of, we are not going back to February 2020. That world is dead, and it's never going to come back. Never going to come back, folks. And I say good riddance to it. It was a Babylonian system. Good riddance to it. Just a couple of quickies, if I may. I'm just going to slip these in. One of our Freedom Union members, a guy called John Glynn, great guy. He's got a YouTube channel called Justice Matters. John has been posting some fantastic stuff about police and political corruption around Australia and crimes and cover-ups and so on. If you see his material out there, get it out there. He's a good guy, John Glenn, and he produces good uploads, and he's a brother in our Freedom Union. Ozzy Kozak, well-known alt media activist here in Australia. He's a member of the Freedom Union, and he's constantly battling and protesting his innocence and seeking freedom, his freedom. And we're going to be doing everything we can to help him on that front. Okay. Lots of stuff going on over in the US. We see that President Trump is now back in the saddle over there. If he left it, I have I've offered an assessment that he was being commander in chief, but he's now back in the saddle as the president over there. Lots of executive orders coming out. There's so much information out there, so many moving pieces in play. I can't keep across all of it. I just can't. It's too much of it going on. But you can see that it's a grinding battle that President Trump is. He's just grinding down his enemies into fluff. Okay. So, big changes in America. The Americans have got their leadership right with President Trump, and those that are close to Trump, they've got it right. They've made it. They've really stepped up to the mark and got the right leader. And so are the Russians. The Russians have got a great leader in President Vladimir Putin and so on. And I think between those two men, we know that these central bankers and their minions, they wanted to drag all of us into a third world war. That was their game plan. The year of the cover-up, right? They're trying to cover up all their crimes, but the big cover-up would have been by dragging us into a third world war, and they're not going to do it. They can't get away with it. President Trump and President Putin and other sane people around the world from other nations and the BRICS countries are going to put a stop to all of that. There's going to be no third world war. They're not going to be able to pull that off. I'm not saying they're not going to try, but they are monsters. They are monsters, and they would love to drag us into a third world war as a means of covering up and all that sort of stuff for their crimes. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have good reason to be positive, good reason to be proud. The Freedom Union, it's still growing. I don't know where we're up to now. I think the last time I had a look at any of the membership cards, I've got an early one, but I think a bit over 5,000 or 5,100 or something like that. So, those are okay. They're not great, but they're growing. This Freedom Union, don't ever be concerned about the size of the dog in the fight. Have a look at the size of the fight in the dog. This Freedom Union is a small, compact, tight, well-organised, well-managed union, and it's got a ton of fight in it. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask the chairman, Steve O'Brien, now to hand it over to questions, and we'll give it a half a dozen questions before I wrap it up. It's Friday. I'm very tired. I've had a big day in the office, which is where I am now. I'm up at level 27 at Santos House, where the Freedom Union set office is here in Auckland. I'll open it up for some questions to Steve and field a few before we wind up tonight. Steve, over to you.
This ad's out.